How has playing video games affected your life for the better? I'm a better problem solver. I learned English from playing video games. Years later, now, I just got a new job where one of the requirements is speaking English. Would never get it if I didn't play video games in the past. I have snap reflexes when I'm shooting at monsters IRL. Playing the original The Sims when it first came out, I was soon frustrated at the limited items of furniture available. When The Sims Transmogrifier was released, enabling people to make their own items to use in the game, I bought myself the latest version of Photoshop 5.5. Closing parenthesis, comma, did the tutorial. Opened my own fan sites so others could also use the stuff I made. From that, I learned web design and not just Photoshop but other Adobe software, and was able to add graphic and web design to my self-employed portfolio, gaining many more clients along the way. Playing AoE as a kid was what got me first interested in history. It's still one of my major interests, and I just love learning about all kinds of stuff from the past all the time. Oh, and playing Fallout introduced me to all this kick-ass 50s music. Say what you will about the newer games, but Uranium Fever is and will always be my jam. Turns out that math is a lot more digestible when you have an activity to apply it to and see its effects in real time. Y'all are getting into some crazy math games and I'm just talking about how gratifying it is to bonk a pickle T-Rex on the head with a giant hammer. Met wonderful people that I love to play with and talk to. They are a part of why I can be happy. Well, for one, playing RuneScape in my early teens taught me how to type quickly. I still remember the time my dad installed one of those typing practice programs on his computer, and proudly told me that he'd learned to touch type at a brisk 42 WPM. Then recommended that I install it too because learning how to type quickly is useful and you might need it in the workforce one day. He was awfully surprised when I fired up the program and immediately started typing at 110 WPM. No problem at all, just from my time spent advertising the items I wanted to buy and sell in RuneScape. I spent my 19th birthday in the cancer ward sleeping on a rock-hard couch, watching over my sick twin sister because my mom told me that the painkillers she was on could send her into a coma. I was at my lowest point. I had dropped out of school to watch over her. I had no job. I had no money. I had undiagnosed anxiety at its highest point. And my sister was due for a surgery that had a 50-50 shot of spreading cancer from the basketball-sized ovarian cyst into her entire body. I had such a bad panic attack in that hospital waiting room that my best friend had to tackle me to prevent me from trying to break open the windows because I couldn't breathe. I was working off of vending machine cheese ITZ, Mountain Dew, and the clothes on my back. Oh, and my 3DS. I had always wanted one since I was little, and I was obsessed with Pokemon. But my parents wouldn't let me have one. Well, at 18 years old my sister, with her first holiday paycheck, got me U's Special NES Edition 3DS with Omega Ruby and Animal Crossing New Leaf. I was beyond stoked. It was the best gift I'd ever gotten. It's how I survived. We were on the 32nd floor and the huge window was picturesque to the city below. Especially at night, when Carol was sleeping at 3 a.m. while we were waiting for her next test. I was upgrading my house and filling up the aquarium with all the fish I could catch. I was vibing with the cafe guy and KK and landscaping my town to the night sounds. When she was in surgery, I was trying to shiny hunt her favorite Pokemon in a manic attempt to convince myself that it mattered in some small way compared to the chaos around me. She's cancer-free and lost an ovary. We both pre-ordered the new Animal Crossing game to play together, and we both play Pokemon SWSH. My anxiety got worse, and then it got better when I went on meds for it. I got a job. I'm going back to school. Video games powered me through some of my worst nights, some of my most terrified and helpless moments, because they provided an escape that allowed me to feel like, just for a while, that I was in control. That this was a safe space where I had the power to become whatever I wanted and could save everyone. Or maybe just catch a fuck ton of sea bass and still never complete a successful shiny hunt, lol. But also it was something that I could share with somebody else, someone important, and make great and lasting memories. This isn't the only story. Hello RPGs and JRPGs giving me the worst hero complex, but I think it's the one that hits home the most. Sorry for the long read. Gave me a hobby and something to keep my mind from sinking into an endless pit of anxiety and depression. I can talk with friends while doing things we all like to do. Also, gives me stuff to brag about. Honestly, it helped with my anger as a kid. Learning how to handle the anger of not being able to beat a boss level or solve a puzzle gave me the skills growing up to do that in real life. I'm not panicking right now about having to stay home BC of Corona. I've learned that giant alien spiders are no joke. It's good escapism if you have a lot of time to kill, like right now. For example, getting lost in Skyrim for hours on end is a good way to pass the time and not worry about anything for a while. The stock answer is fiscal responsibility, thanks to SimCity 2000. Or RPGs like Mario and Luigi. I learned never to spend more than I make, and always try to increase my savings rather than just keep a static buffer. The more interesting story is thanks to the 4X strategy game Galactic Civilizations. That was my first introduction to the concept of a tech tree with chains of prerequisites. In fall of my sophomore year of college, I planned out my spring semester with my advisor prior to registration, and he said everything looked good. But between that meeting and actual registration time, I idly mapped out a tech tree of my course requirements for my intended major and discovered that if I didn't take chemistry next semester, which I hadn't planned before then, I wouldn't be able to take all my required classes in time to graduate in 4 years. So bottom line, strategy games may have saved my college career from potential disaster. Brad, U. Dragonol, Wardell of Stardock Games. If you ever read this, thank you so much. I've battled depression my whole life, and there have been several suicidal episodes put off because a major game was releasing and then I hit an upswing. Good thing they pushed Cyberpunk back. Zany face. Sims 2 taught me so much. I first got the game when I was 8. I grew up in a very racist, homophobic area, and as a straight white person I was probably going to grow up the same, but I remember playing Sims and there were black people, white people, tanned, mixed race, aliens. The storyline of Strangetown made me realize how ridiculous racism really is. Black Sims were just as interesting as white Sims. There were rich Italian families and poor white families and everything in between. Also, the ability to make any sim gay. At first it was funny, haha look I made lesbians, but then you realize they're just normal people. When you get a sim to kiss a sim of the same sex, nothing is taken away, the sim is still respected in the same way. I think it really helped me understand the world from other people's perspective. It's probably one of the reasons I ended up getting into psychology. I also ended up learning to code through playing Sims and making my own mods when I was older. I'd say by this point I have a unique understanding of the game I just don't have with other games. In my master's degree, neuropsychology, we had to learn to create programs to use in MRI machines. It was the first time I was formally taught to code, and I was through each worksheet easily, because I had spent so many years making silly little mods in Sims 2, or correcting all the ridiculous glitches and errors the wildly unstable game threw my way in the 16 or so years it's been out. It's taught me to experiment and test theories by testing the boundaries of the game and what I can mod in, as well as work out code I'm unfamiliar with. I mean, I wouldn't say I was an expert or anything. Far from it. But considering I've only seen a handful of tutorials and outside of one coding class one took 2 years ago, I've never been taught it, I'd say I was competent. It's also my happy place. I have pretty bad anxiety, compulsive thoughts and depression. I feel like playing Sims can reset it. I get all involved in the silly little dramas I create in the games, or write down in a notebook a mod I want to work on and the ins and outs of how it would be possible, what already exists in the game, etc. Sometimes I just sit and draw maps, imagine up cities or buildings, or even just think about which Sims will marry which. I don't even have to be playing the game to benefit from it. It's improved my reaction time to real-world things. I've met lifelong friends on there. Video games have become a big part of my life since I was able to play games. My mom would never let me play games when I was younger unless it was Guitar Hero or DJ Hero. It's odd, but video games have become my sanctuary of sorts. Gives me something to do. Eases my anxiety and stress. A safe space through some of the worst times in my life, and a good conversation topic with friends. It gave me a way of thinking that helped me in school. All the little analogies that I can tie from video games to the real world has helped me remember certain things, and stay focused of certain aspects of life. You made till the end. You're a ducking beast, I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe now. It's free and that's a great price.